On today's World Insight, as the 32nd APEC Economic Leaders Meeting in Korea's Gyeongju draws near, we present a special dialogue on global governance and Asia-Pacific shared prosperity. International organization officers join academic and business representatives of APEC economies to talk about the significance of multilateralism, building regional cooperation platforms, and international tech collaboration for the Asia-Pacific. The panelists are Stephen Barnett, former IMF Senior Resident Representative in China; Chung Soo-yong, the president of the Seoul International Law Academy; Choi Jae Rim, a professor of economics at Yonsei University; David Perez de Rossier, the director of the Beijing chapter of the Canada-China Business Council; Qian Fang, a senior research fellow at the National Strategy Institute of Tsinghua University; Gaston Chi, a media and strategic communication director of the Malaysian Chamber of Commerce in China; and Wang Qian, the head of the Greater China LinkedIn.
Let's dive directly into our conversation. Our topic is APEC. Asia-Pacific region is such a dynamic place where it hosts some of the biggest economies, some of the best synergy among economies as well. To you, all of you coming from academic, business, as well as policy-making process, tell us, what does the connectivity within Asia-Pacific region, specifically for APEC, mean to you? David.
Perfect. So as representative of the Canada-China Business Council, we can appreciate the case study of the Canada-China trade relation throughout the years. And I think that this is a very interesting case study that can apply also to different trade relations in the region, which is a very extensive trade synergy between Canada and China.
Yeah.
If we look at our trade situation, Canada is exporting a lot of commodities, and China is exporting a lot of manufactured goods to Canada. So looking at that broader relation and looking at broader APEC, we see also a lot of those synergies that are applicable to Canada in terms of their trading relations with different other economies in ASEAN and throughout the region as well. And China has similar relations as well with other economies in China. So I think that APEC provides a great platform for those economies to gather together, discuss current issues and current opportunities, and find ways also to benefit more and better trade globally in the region.
Thank you for that bilateral example to help us understand how the APEC economies are actually working with one another. Not only bilateral, and certainly multilaterally. I want to call upon the advice of Professor Chung from International Law Academy to highlight both South Korea as the host country of APEC Economic Leaders Week, and also what do you make of the connectivity in the APEC region? Professor.
Well, here, connectivity could be in many things. We certainly can talk about the connectivity in the trade area. We just heard about the bilateral level, but also a multilateral, and then Asia Pacific as a whole, right? So there are different layers of the connectivity that we can think about. And then beyond the trade, we can talk about connectivity among the people, connectivity among the culture, connectivity of different political systems. So in the sense that the APEC can be just a great platform through which we can talk about the various kinds of connectivity issues.
Indeed. And Professor Choi, as the hosting country, for this year's APEC Economic Leaders Week and some of the earlier events as well among the ministers, and the list goes on, how is South Korea trying to understand, the significance of APEC this year, particularly when the world is at a critical juncture?
So I think I'd like to emphasize the return to protectionism in this Asia Pacific region. So the escalating trade tensions and rising trade policy uncertainties pose significant risk to the Asia Pacific's economic growth, potentially slowing down momentum in coming years. So in my research paper titled Anxiety or Pain, the Impact of Tariffs and Uncertainty on Chinese Firms in the Trade War, we found that the US-China trade war increased firm-level trade policy uncertainty. Especially this rising trade policy uncertainty reduced firm-level investment and R&D expenditures. As such, trade disputes can disrupt supply chains, increase costs, and reduce investment confidence, which may particularly affect export-dependent economies, Korea, especially in this region. So I think APEC's role is to act as the region's sharp observer.
Now, going to you, Mr. Barnett, can you highlight what some of the APEC economies, their prosperity and their working together, not only bilaterally, but also multilaterally, it means for the region?
The Asia-Pacific region has really been a key driver of global growth. And China and Korea actually provide good examples of this. If we look at Korea, we go back to 1980, income per person in Korea was around 22% of the advanced economy average. But thanks to the remarkable development in Korea, so from 1980 to the latest data, Korea became an advanced economy and income per person grew to 88% of the advanced economy average. Truly a remarkable record of development and a rare example of a country busting through the middle income trap and actually rising to advanced economy status. In 1980, China was less than 3% of the advanced economy average. And in the latest data, China is a little over 38%. Again, remarkable development. So what can the region do going forward? Basically, continue to have sustainable and robust growth at home. It's one of the best things you can do for the global economy. And let me take China as an example. If China is able to move to a model where consumption consistently outpaces the growth in GDP, then China would have sustained growth, and that growth will also provide direct benefits to the rest of the world. Higher growth in China, higher consumption in China means more imports, which means more global demand, providing a welcome lift to the global economy.
That's a great example about China and South Korea, what these individual economies mean for the region, and also how the connectivity, as all of you illustrated, could work. Professor Tian, I would also like to call upon you to help us understand this. APEC has been a very important platform for China, and also, shall I argue, Gaston, for the emerging economies in Asia. ASEAN is an important example. So how do you see this year APEC could play its role at a critical juncture? Professor.
Yes. The APEC consists of 21 members. Yes. It accounts approximately 60% of world population. Indeed. And nearly 40% of the world GDP. And under current circumstances, I think the APEC, this year very important because the APEC now can play a very important role as a stabilizer, can strengthen the people's confidence. Also can provide the APEC, the members, are shared, to against the short of the uncertainties.
As for the business people, especially for Gaston and Nancy, you are very pragmatic. You need to do business, right? So how do you see a very abstract concept like APEC? How is it likely to serve the business community, serve your customers, and serve the overall growth of the region? David already talked about his views, but I would like to hear your views briefly. Gaston and Nancy.
Sure. I think we talk a lot about trade and tariff. I think the other T that I would like to bring in is trust. We are talking about 21 different economies. And as Professor have said, 1/3 of this population forms the world. 60% of it is contributing to the world's GDP. It is a big market.
It's a big chunk.
And of these 21 economies, I visited more than 11 of these countries. And although we have differences, but we all need to understand that we are all under one roof. We're a big family. And I think APEC provides a table long enough for all of these countries to have a voice. Resilience cannot be built on isolation. It needs to be built in partnership. And that's how innovation happens, and then that's how prosperity can prosper. Because you need to bear one thing in mind. These 21 economies did not inherit the prosperity. They co-design it, they co-author it, and to share it among all of us.
I love the logic of the business community. Very direct, right? Straightforward. That it is. We don't play the political games. Let's go to Nancy. Tell me more about, from the business perspective, you are an international company based in China, operating in Greater China. So actually, how do you see Asia Pacific, APEC, as a platform for you?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I can't agree more with David. Communication just not about talk. It's about seeking real understanding between each other. It's to respecting the differences and addressing each other's pinpoints. So that's why we are very confident Asia Pacific represent the growth, represent most promising growth in the globally. So that's why really embrace the diversities, build the trust, build the innovation and the connection together can make a real difference.
I really love the on-the-ground examples all of you are trying to provide to our audience. You know, these are real food for thought. Having said that, though, there are also a lot of framework issues that we need to address. Professor Choi, as an economic professor, I'm sure you are very much aware of the regionalization has been vibrant in the Asia-Pacific region, for example, on the APEC platforms, and also involving the economies of the region. For example, you have RCEP, involving ASEAN countries with Northeast Asia, and the list goes on. You also have CPTPP, you know, with Japan and many others joining in, even though China is not yet already applied, but not yet a member of it. You also have ASEAN, which is such an active platform in the region, and North America, US, Mexico, Canada, just to name a few. There are also other entities in Latin America, and there are also synergies among all of these platforms we're talking about. So are we going to see an updated version of these different platforms continuing to contribute to APEC, this bigger platform? Or are we going to see more fragmentation and even uncertainties among every of these entities we talk about? And as a result of that, we don't know where to go. We have to wait, but until when? That is really the question, Professor Choi.
The economic integration initiative like RCEP or CPTPP generates winners and losers. So for those adversely affected, inclusive policy design is essential. So with trade and investment measures explicitly targeting rural and underserved population through support for local SMEs, cooperatives, and smallholder farmers. In addition, capacity building and skill development, including vocational training, digital literacy, and technical skills can empower local population to participate effectively in regional value chains.
2025年亚太经济合作组织领导人非正式会议即将在韩国举行。本次活动围绕全球治理与亚太共繁荣这一主题进行交流，具有十分重要的意义。当今世界，各国利益交融，休戚与共，不断扩大的共同利益，必须通过不断完善的共同治理来维护。携手合作，互利共赢是唯一正确的选择。今年9月，习近平主席创造性地提出了全球治理倡议，为构建更加公正合理的全球治理体系贡献了中国智慧、中国方案。APEC 作为全球经济治理的重要平台，是亚太地区层级最高、领域最广、 最具影响力的经济合作机制。在当前地缘冲突加剧、逆全球化思潮抬头的国际形势下，亚太合作面临不进则退的严峻挑战。展望未来，我认为实现亚太共繁荣，需从3方面着力：一是开放，要坚定支持多边贸易体系，推动构建更高水平的亚太市场；二是创新，要积极拓展人工智能、绿色能源等新兴领域的合作；三是联通，要加强基础设施与规则标准的衔接，提升区域产业链、供应链的韧性。中国贸促会是中国最大的全国性贸易投资促进机构，参与全球经济治理是我们4条业务主线之一。我们积极组织中国企业参与 APEC 工商界活动。今年推动 APEC 工商咨询理事会形成关于开放市场的单独声明，就构建开放型亚太经济发出响亮的工商界声音，成功举办第3届中国国际供应链促进博览会，有力促进包括亚太地区在内的全球产业链、供应链合作和稳定畅通。10月28日至31日，我们将组织高规格中国企业家代表团赴韩国庆州，参加 APEC 工商领导人峰会。闭幕式上，我将作为2026年 APEC 工商领导人峰会主席，接过峰会的主办权。在此，期待各位嘉宾、各位朋友积极关注和参与明年的 APEC 工商界活动。中国贸促会愿带领中国工商界与亚太伙伴一道，全面落实2040年布特拉加亚愿景，携手推动构建开放活力、强韧和平的亚太共同体，为区域繁荣注入正能量。
The important question of where trade is going, whether trade is still going to be the engine for all of these entities and have them contributing to APEC. Gaston, you know my question.
Okay, I'm glad that the professor talked about policy, and then we touched a bit about trust. I think where growth is going to happen is where there is transparency. When these policies are interpreted transparently, and when all of the members do not feel that they are left behind, then I think there's real growth. Very much in like our work when we set up family office for families. You have family charter, you have family governance, you have family policy, but every members play a part. The mom, the dad, the siblings play a part for not just the legacy. Legacy we are talking about not just this generation, but the next generation, but also for the succession. So I'm glad that I'm born in a time in the 1980s where APEC was just born. And we see a lot of great changes. We see people can travel easily, free visa. We see trade, it's beginning to emerge more and more. But again, back to my point is that when the grassroots can feel the benefit of this movement of trade, that is when they buy into this narrative, and that's when economy will have movement.
Well, all of you said the right thing, but let's mention the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is geopolitics. The elephant in the room is tariff, right? That brings us to all of these uncertainties. So Professor Chen, I want to call upon you. Tell me what you think about, what is really facing the leaders of the APEC economies when they're gathering together. What do you expect them to solve this time so that the economies can grow, the jobs can be secured, business can have their investment plans for the next 5 years, for God's sake? So, Professor.
Okay. Yes, I think, yes, I think everybody in the APEC attach great importance about the leaders meeting, because yes, every time in the leaders meeting can, I think can have a strategical guidance roles take the China and US as example. The China-US is one of top one, top two, the largest economy is. Yes, if we're looking back this year and also this year, the telephone call and also the two government representatives meeting, whether in London, Geneva, in Madrid, and now every time in the meet, will ease the tensions, ease the tensions. That is
for the moment.
Yes, a moment. That is a benefit not only to the China, US, the people, but also benefit to the people, in the region and maybe to, the global economies. That is very important. Can have a good platforms for the commercial leaders and also political leaders and face to face and to pick out the good solutions for the current challenges. Maybe one meeting and two meetings cannot solve problems, but with the confidence and also mutual understanding accumulating, I think we're close. We'll be closer to the final solutions.
What Professor is trying to indicate, if I could, it seems that he's saying, well, business community, you should tell directly to the political leaders what you need, and things will be resolved. Is that the case, David?
Well, advocacy is an important part of doing business internationally.
That's also what chambers are for, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I would say that there's two key words for business leaders in terms of not only engagement domestically, but also broadly and internationally. Number one, it's platform, and number two, it's predictability. Businesses often like to make decisions not for the next year, but for plans that go 3, 4, 5, even 10 years. Of course, business leaders, when they have the opportunity to engage with international political leaders, this provides a great opportunity for constructive dialogues in terms of what kind of policies can be applied and developed to promote sustainable and stable trade, not only bilaterally, but also, I would say, globally. Next year, APEC will be in China. This will bring many Canadian business leaders throughout the year to here in China to see what kind of innovation is being done, what are the key sectors, how can they contribute here, how can Chinese companies contribute to the Canadian economy, but also how can they work together also in their own interests, but in the interests also of other countries in the region.
I see. Gaston, your thoughts?
I think I really like the theme for APEC when we talk about shared prosperity. In a sense, if we see prosperity as a human right, if we see prosperity as elevating other poverty, then that could be a good ground for real breakthrough. And I just want to bring us to the point that if you look at the 21, I mean, I'm in business, so I really like numbers. If you look at 21 of these economies, 10 of them were colonies of the Great British Empire. 21 of them fall under the Commonwealth framework.
Interesting.
But what is so common about it? But if you look at APEC, we are talking about we want everyone to have a piece of the pie. So I think that changes the entire narrative.
I love what you're saying. It's not win and lose. If you win, I lose. But rather, how can we win together? Everybody has a bigger pie. How can we build that happen? Make that happen? That's a wonderful thought. Having said that, though, I have to tackle, as a host of this discussion, some of the difficult issues. For example, tariff. This has become such a, shall I say, a turbulent factor in all the discussions, not only in the boardrooms, but also in the conference rooms, as well as in a public discussion like ours right now. So how can we take, as Professor Chang earlier beautifully called upon us, one small step at least, every step count, toward a better solution for all of us. Gaston, I call upon you to answer that question first, because ASEAN has been great for the spirit of cooperation.
It's a tricky one.
It is.
But I'll bring everyone's attention back to the fundamental of tariff is just a tool. And it's a tool sometimes that is used against others. And the underlying factor is, again, back to what we discussed, it's trust and transparency.
Yeah.
If we can build that, then the whole issue about tariff might be relooked at a different angle, because what business cannot stand is not tariff, but unpredictability in the long term.
Mm-hmm.
That's what investors do not like. That's what business cannot stand. So I think if we could bring back predictability through APEC structure, then we will see this story being told differently. So back to what we said, I think there's strength in our unity.
Yeah.
And as Malaysia will say, Bersatu Teguh, which means that if we are united, there is victory.
All right. Professor Choi, your thoughts on that?
I think tariff itself is harmful, but also the uncertainty nowadays, like tariff is not realized, but also there's some trade policy uncertainty rising. So I think we should use APEC as a platform to discuss these trade frictions and prevent escalation. So through initiatives that simplify customs procedures, harmonize standards, and promotes digital trade, and APEC does help lower transaction costs and maintain trade flows.
I see. David?
This year, just to get back to the Canada-China situation, we see in the first half of the year that bilateral trade increased by 9%.
Mm-hmm.
And we also noticed that there's been re-engagement and more discussions happening between both governments. So I think this is a great example as well, that when you discuss and when you use multilateral platforms such as APEC, G20, and many other ones that you highlighted earlier, this really helps reduce, I would say, misunderstanding, build constructive solutions where partnerships and collaboration can be enhanced or developed. And then, because this can also help address global issues such as climate change, where APEC will play a significant role in addressing those global issues. So the key word for us is engagement, and we're very pleased to see engagement not only at APEC, but throughout different platforms. And we look forward to see what is going to be coming out of APEC in a few weeks from now.
This gathering matters for three reasons. First, time. The conversations here can sharpen priorities and inform the regional agenda in real time. Second, participation. Voices from China, Canada, Korea, and beyond demonstrate that shared prosperity is built by many hands. Third, purpose. The theme, global governance and Asia-Pacific shared prosperity, reminds us that rules, trust, and inclusion are structure of.
Este tipo de espacios de diálogo son fundamentales para fortalecer la cooperación entre nuestros países y avanzar hacia una gobernanza más inclusiva, sostenible y orientada al bienestar común. Desde Chile valoramos profundamente los esfuerzos por construir puentes de entendimiento y promover el desarrollo compartido en nuestra región Asia-Pacífico. Les deseo una jornada muy fructífera y que las reflexiones que surjan de este encuentro contribuyan a seguir consolidando una comunidad de futuro compartido basada en el respeto, la equidad y la colaboración.
On the eve of the APEC leaders meeting, this forum carries great significance, bringing together leaders and experts to exchange insight and shape a common vision for the future. To address pressing issues such as climate change, technological innovation, population aging, and economic uncertainty, mutual trust and international cooperation are more vital than ever. I sincerely hope today's discussions will offer constructive solutions to the challenges confronting the Asia-Pacific region and further strengthen the friendship and the collaboration among member economies.
Earlier, we have been talking about how can we make the pie bigger? How can we make sure everybody can have a bigger piece of the pie? Because the overall pie is getting bigger. So that has a lot to do with what's going on in our world today. We see the trade negotiations bilaterally taking place. There are a lot of news every day, and it's always changing. However, we also see how different economies are trying to grasp the opportunities that they can to be mutually beneficial in their trade relations, in their economic relations. On that, I want to go to you, Mr. Barnett, because China, where you have been doing a lot of research on over the decades, has just been making public its general outline for the 15th five-year plan. Not specific, we're waiting for details, but general outline. So your take on that in relations to the question of how can we make the overall pie bigger? So, Mr. Barnett.
China's had remarkable development over the past several decades. Indeed, with average growth of around 9% per year, this is by far the fastest of any major economy over this period. Sometimes this is called the China growth miracle. I tend to view it not so much a miracle as a direct result of China's reform and opening up. And so going forward and looking to the next five-year plan, a continuation of reform and opening up is one of the best things China can do for itself. And it's also a way it can support the global economy. And we talked about how more rapid growth in China means more imports from others. We've also seen China getting directly involved in global integration, not just through trade, but through international institutions, so leadership in institutions like AIIB, creation of the NDB, regional trade arrangements like the RCEP. All these are an example of China becoming more globally integrated into the world economy. But when we look specifically at the policies going ahead, I think really the key for ensuring robust growth in China in the period ahead is finding reforms to generate productivity growth. And productivity growth really, we thought it was coming from two areas. One is innovation, which gets an awful lot of attention. One that's equally, maybe even more important, that gets perhaps less attention, is the allocation of resources. Ensuring that economic resources flow to the activities and sectors where they can be best used is one of the most important ways to increase productivity and actually can provide one of the biggest lifts to global growth. Therefore, some of the early announcements we've seen related to the next five-year plan are quite encouraging. The idea of giving full play to the market and allocation of resources is really critical to driving growth going forward.
Thank you very much for that analysis. Go to you, Professor Choi, as an economic professor. You see how to make the pie bigger in the Asia-Pacific region for APEC and for all our economies,
Yes.
from South Korea, for example.
Okay, so the role of, I think, Asia-Pacific economies, such as China and South Korea, is crucial in increasing pie and promoting shared growth both regionally and globally. First, China's rapid technological development, large domestic market, and investment in AI and digital infrastructure have positioned it as a major engine of regional growth, facilitating innovation, enhancing productivity, and providing market opportunities for neighboring economies. And as China shifts toward high-tech and consumption-driven growth, its evolving economic model has potential to benefit the region through technology sharing, supply chain resilience, and market access, provided this is done transparently and inclusively. Let's go back to the South Korea. South Korea exemplifies how a strong focus on education, research and development, and innovation ecosystems can transform a small economy into a global tech leader, particularly in semiconductors, digital infrastructure, and smart manufacturing.
I see. To Malaysia, how things are evolving, and how can we make the pie bigger?
I think if we look at ourselves not as competitors, but rather complementary partners, then we could definitely make the pie bigger. In the case of Malaysia, we do not have the skill like China, but we are strategically positioned. So some of our manufacturing hubs, manufacturing capabilities are complementary to the value chain of China. And if we look at ourselves that way and we form partnership around strategic alliance, then this pie can not only get bigger, but can also have a spill-on effect to neighboring countries. And I think that's the secret sauce to the success of APEC.
David, what about for Canada?
Well, I think Canada has been embracing multilateralism for a very extensive period of time. And what we've seen is Canada being able also, as an energy superpower or one of the main powers in the world, to be able to contribute to innovation in that sector. There's projects about hydrogen, about the use of fossil fuels that is more sustainable, hydroelectricity, and we see great opportunities for Canada to contribute in the region in that front. But also we are an economy driven a lot on services, so quality services as well can help contribute to the greater pie. But I think it has to do also with consumer goods is also another sector that we look at, but I think it has to do also with engagement in finding solutions to address common global issues and also driving maybe the presence of more SMEs throughout the region as well, where we can see SMEs being able to develop and grow. And those companies, when they're able to grow and they're able to penetrate more markets, they're also able to create jobs, contribute to the local economy, and bring more prosperity throughout the region. So I think Canada-China's relation and trade relation, how it has evolved in the last 40 years, is a great example of how the different relations can between Canada and other economies in the region can be.
I like that long-term view that you just taken. Very nice. So not only generally speaking about the economy and the pie getting bigger, we have tools. One of the tools is innovation. AI is leading a lot of changes in all industries. Of course, there is some debates about whether it will remain a growth engine for long before people really make a lot of money out of the technology, or we have to wait another period of time before that happens. So on that, I want to go to Nancy, to Chen. You are working for a high-tech company, but at the same time, that company is so much linked to the social landscape that's changing in the Asia-Pacific region. So maybe you are the best one to help us to understand how much innovation, especially AI, can be a tool for us for the positive change for the region. Nancy.
Yeah, that's a great question. I know at a tech company like LinkedIn, we are really embracing AI because AI is transforming everything from how we work to how we live. So based on LinkedIn's Future Talent Report, by 2030, 70% of the skills at our current jobs will change. So that's why whether you can grasp this AI transformation is really crucial for either individuals or the companies, even the countries, can be successful in the future. So that's why, based on our platform, we see a tremendous growth on the AI skills. Let's take APEC as an example. 142 times increase in our professional network for the members, adding AI as their skills. And now the ChatGPT is the #1 skills, surpassing soft skills like communication in the past 10 years. So that's why AI is really not a discussion whether we should embrace it or not. It's about how we embrace it and how fast we can implement it into our daily work and even our daily life.
So technology-wise, it is the tool for the future, but it could also become a dividing factor. What are your thoughts on this regarding the upcoming APEC Economic Leaders Week? Professor Chung?
Well, comparing with the other important global and regional issues, AI has a very important characteristics of not knowing the existence of the territory. somehow all the engineers of the AI would presume that AI technology needs to cover from the beginning, from the day one, to all of the world. In the sense that I think that in order to go up using the benefits of the AI, I think what leaders can talk about is about the risk size of the AI. In the sense that at the global level and at the multilateral level, there are some initiatives, especially among the governments. As we clearly know, at the United Nations level, there has been discussions on this issue, and then at some at the multilateral level, initiated by the governments of Netherlands and Republic of Korea, that AI needs to be taken care of from the perspective of the risk management. So other than risk for now, I think that in order to have more benefits and the potential benefits that we can get out of the innovations in AI area, maybe we can leave most of the opportunities to the hands of Nancy and other business people and the technicians who are thriving actually to find out the better and the more efficient technologies that can ultimately bring the benefits to the all. But once again, what especially governments needs to do, we have to avoid any situation where we will be mismanaged by the AI. That's as I said, the risk management. In other words, responsible AI.
All right. Mr. Professor Chen?
We can see the AI powers. Most of the world AI powers just living in the APEC platforms. Yes, whether the China and the US and yes, also not. We can have a lot of things to do. Yes, but at the same time, we do not forget the AI is just like previously technology. Some groups they developed very fast by AI empowerment. But we do not forget there are still a lot of vulnerable groups. Yes.
Technological gap to be addressed so that to bring the society as a whole to witness.
Justice.
So I want to thank our wonderful panelists for giving us a lot of food for thoughts. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for your input to help us solve some of the thorniest issues of our world today. And of course, our young leaders sitting here and beyond this room who are going to build bridges, I'm sure, for the future. Thank you so much for being with us. All the best. Thank you.